All right, so what is an extinction burst and why do we care? An extinction burst in psychological terminology refers to a sudden increase in behavior when the reinforcement structure that supported that behavior is removed. A common example is a child who receives attention every time they throw a tantrum, and then if you suddenly stop giving them attention, their tantrums may become louder, longer, and more frequent. This is likely to continue for a while until they realize that the behavior is no longer being rewarded, in which case it will gradually taper off and eventually mostly cease. Another common example of this is going no contact with an ex partner or family member. They may suddenly just lose their minds, become angry, and attempt to contact you repeatedly. The loss of control drives them insane. And again, this behavior will intensify for a period of time as they seek the return of gratification that they received from you. From a social standpoint, an extinction burst occurs when a reinforcement mechanism, such as a reward, reinforcement policy, social norm, or other motivating factor, is removed. The original social behavior that resulted in the reward will then intensify for a period of time in an effort to regain the reward before slowly fading away as the behavior is no longer reinforced. Especially during times of social upheaval, long-standing social norms, institutions, and elite systems of power experience a loss of power, legitimacy, and social standing and are replaced with new systems. The social reinforcements or privileges that we enforce, the old regimes and hierarchies, are no longer in place. They will undergo a period of severe pushback in which the behavior once used to gain social and financial rewards is intensified in an effort to regain the privileges and footing that were previously experienced. So, in the context of what we're experiencing today, you can see how the old power structures of racism, patriarchy, and nationalism have failed us. Society has been moving toward new and different power structures, but those whose identity, power, and financial fortunes rested on the old establishment have launched an enormous campaign to regain the previous status, and even perhaps to take more than they had before, because they cannot comprehend living in a world not based on their own privilege. However, we need to look at this as what it essentially a spoiled toddler throwing a tantrum, because every time he screamed in the past, he got his way. So if we just allow this continued behavior, then yes, it's going to only get worse. But we need to view this in a historical perspective, that if we continue to remove the reward structures, this will end up being the death spasm of a dying order. And then we can focus our energies on what comes next.